This Xfinity 500 Betting Picks 2025 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Underdog is hooking up new customers. Play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with the promo code RACESGPN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And now he's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. And we are here, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about the paperclip, the track at Martinsville, the penultimate race of the NASCAR playoffs and the NASCAR season. Cody, we started this trek in February, and we're here now, almost at the end.
Wow, it's crazy. Are we still calling this Martinsville? Truex has retired. Is it Martinsville? Is it Chaseville? We'll see after the weekend, I guess.
Well, yeah, we'll see what 19 car decides to show up, whether it's the Martins or actually, I guess they haven't really been that far apart as of the last few weeks, have they? It seems like the 19.
I hope the Briscoe 19 shows up over the Truex 19 at the end.
This is actually kind of true. Yeah, obviously we're coming off of an exciting Talladega weekend. I know there were parts of it that were single file and people started to go to sleep, but
You're talking about Cesar Baccarella?
Top 10, baby.
Cesar Baccarella? Oh, how many shows out there were talking about Cesar Baccarella and cashing those bets for you? I'd certainly like to know.
I'm telling you, it's crazy because that is exactly what we were talking about when we talk about super speedway racing, right? There are those drivers that can find their way into the top 10. It's going to be chalky for the most part on some of these instances, but there's room. There's always room in the top 10, especially when we're talking truck series for those types of top 10 finishes. And yeah, you nailed that one, Cody. That was fantastic. We had ourselves a pretty decent little card overall on the weekend.
It was good because we cashed bets and you go into it expecting to lose all of them. That's what we tell you to do, right? And Chase Briscoe, the 25-1 comes through. Gilliland ends up being the top Ford. Cesar Baccarella gets the top 5 in the Xfinity series. Insane. I got him at 50-1 that morning. I just threw $2 on. I was like, fuck it. I picked like 3 guys. I was like $2 on 3 long shots. Boom. Baccarella wins. Wins for me. Top 5 was basically a win for him too. But yeah, I thought it was a fun weekend. It was really exciting. Chase Briscoe obviously secures his spot into the championship 4. So now we'll have at least 2 Joe Gibbs racing cars there. But yeah, I thought it was a fun weekend. I thought it was great racing. I didn't actually see any of the Xfinity race, to be completely honest with you. We were at the pumpkin patch. I was following along, but I didn't actually watch any of it. But I thought the truck race was great. I thought the cup race was great. And Cesar Baccarella finished top 5 in Xfinity, so it must have been great. I
thought all 3 of them had their moments, right? Again, not every lap of every race is going to be the most thrilling lap of the entire world. But like I said, I feel like they all provided some level of entertainment and obviously cashed some bets for us. Oh, chat's already blowing up. Ash checking in saying, hello, lads. Oh.
And Andrew first, the only Caesar he fucks with. If you remember, he's the one who got screwed over by the Zillage/Kligerman thing earlier. So Cesar Baccarella, the only Caesar he's fucking with.
Indeed.
Sorry. Back to the Ash comment.
Oh no! Before we get to Ash, I want to tell you that the NBA tips off this week. Make sure to subscribe to the NBA Gambling Podcast for daily picks. And in that podcast, tune into the NBA Gambling Podcast wherever you get your podcast. Now let's tell you about Ash checking in saying, hello, lads. With Martinsville, when wagering, do you take the spring race or just the previous fall race into consideration, like Cindric's top 10 price at 3-1? We'll talk about our betting strategies on that one. Obviously, track history is important because there are drivers, and I'll tell you right off the bat, this is going to be a very chalky top 10. We'll probably make some cases, obviously, for some long shot top 10s, but if you look at the average finishing position for Martinsville, you will see a lot of familiar names, and of course, take into account the final 8 battling for the championship 4. They're going to be predominantly in the front as well. So, this is going to be a very chalky race for the most part. Mark is saying, hi, everyone. What is everyone's pick to win Martinsville? Cody, I'll give you one guess and one guess only. Who he thinks is going to win Martinsville?
Who could it possibly be, Rod?
Christopher Bell.
I'll go with that.
To win the championship. And then actually he was a Cleveland kid.
Marcus is a consistent man and a big fan. So you gotta give him props for that.
Absolutely. Listen, I wish I was as loyal to Christopher Bell to anything, to be honest with you, as Marcus is to Christopher Bell. So love that one. Let's see. And then Expert Sucks is asking if everybody is picking Bell to win. Surprisingly, neither one of us are, spoiler alert. So we may not even talk about him much.
I think we are. Well, yeah. Well, we'll definitely get into all of it for sure.
We sure will.
Bell. Let's see. Do you have Bell on your card? Do you have Bell on your card at all, Rod?
I do not.
No.
Yeah. Well, no. I take that back.
We'll break down the point situation. Well, Jesus Christ. Are you counting that bet as on your card, Rod? I guess if you.
I put it on there.
I put a lot of people on a card.
Well, but this is funny because I put it on there because it's a different.
Yeah. But hold off, buddy.
Love it.
I will one note too with the comparison to spring and fall. The spring race is 400 miles, by the way. Fall race is 500. So I would still definitely factor in just track history, obviously. But and I don't know that difference is not. That's not the difference like you're going to get at Darlington for the Southern 500 compared to the 400-mile race. It's not Bristol where it's extra 100. It is lesser of a factor, but it's in there nonetheless.
Well, again, and that's when you take into consideration that Martinsville is a short track, and where you're talking mile and a half, or you're talking the 600-mile versus the 500-mile. These guys, they're conditioned to drive a certain amount, and you don't take it into account. But again, playoffs play a lot of the factor into the fall race as well. So we'll talk through that as we do. Couple of news and notes, though, Cody. I've seen that there is the unveiling of the Coronado racetrack and what they're going to be doing on that race. 3.4 miles, Cody. That's a long track.
That is a long track. I'd like to congratulate SVG on his win at that event next year. That'll be really exciting for him. But yeah, no, I'm super excited about that. Obviously, you're in the military. I was in the military. I was in the Navy in particular. So both of us love to see this. We know the Navy's better than the Army anyways. So another great reason to race on a naval base. But yeah, this is, it's pretty exciting. I was trying to do the thing where we did with the F1 gambling podcast, RIP, where we decided what the track looked like. And it looks like a lion, or it almost looks like an arena football mascot, like a saber-toothed cat. I don't know what, like any type of big cat is kind of what the track layout looks like with the whole middle filled in. So that's what I was going with. Yeah,
and because it's not like any other road course or street. This is like kind of a boxy, not really a boxy, but it's, it doesn't have the expansive. It's just sort of in this area, right? It's confined within an area, and it looks like it's going to be very interesting for these guys. Now, granted, do they drive out in the ocean on these carriers? Who knows? That'd be fun if they actually let him go on a carrier for a half a second.
Yeah, they're going to be like right up. It sounds like they'll be like right up next to the carriers. So like on TV, they'll be racing alongside of the carriers, which that's pretty fucking badass, honestly.
I can't wait to watch this play out. I'm hoping to go live. I'm hoping that it's not on a weekend where I can't go live. I just want to go watch this thing and see it in person.
You should ask the Army to send you there, Rod. Come on.
True.
Jeez, Like, hey, we got military guy here with NASCAR ties. Come on, figure it out, Army.
I'm asking him. Well, these days, who knows? All right. Anyways, Cody, let's get into some other. What else you got for news and notes?
Yeah, I think the only other main thing was Raja Karuth is going to race part-time with JRM. So it's looking like we've got 2 full-time guys for JRM next year. It'll be Justin Allgaier and Sammy Smith, and then a lot of part-time stuff. Ross Chastain and SVG are both going to race part-time. Connor Zulich obviously is going to be part-time. Carson Kvapil is going down to part-time. And now Raja is also going to be a part-time guy. It sounds like that's going to be Raja's main focus. So he's not going to run full-time in trucks. He's just going to be a part-time Xfinity guy with the HendrickCars.com sponsorship in the 88 for JRM. So it sounds like maybe he'll still run some truck races, but main focus is going to be part-time Xfinity. It's sort of an interesting shift we're seeing in the O'Reilly series, I guess, will be next year, of course, but what is currently known as the Xfinity series. A lot of more split rides, part-time stuff. JRM's going from, they've already got 2 cars locked into the championship race. Could potentially get all 4 in there. I think I'd have to look at, at the number, but potentially you get all 4. They're all 4 still in the round of 8. So, and then down to 2 full-time cars next year. But it's kind of a flux we've seen with JGR over the years. Some years they have 2 full-time guys. Sometimes they have 4. It depends where the money's coming from. And I guess it's all coming part-time right now.
Well, and think about it as condensed as the, I guess, I don't want to say talent pool, but we talked about this being a very top-heavy Xfinity series when we're starting the previews of the individual series, and we were like, a lot of this is going to be condensed around JRM and JGR, and we've kind of seen that, right? I mean, every once in a while we've seen some other teams poke their heads out. Haas has kind of put their faces out there with Mayer every once in a while. Obviously, Childress with Hill and Love, but I mean, let's face it, the dogs in this fight are JRM and JGR. So I'm wondering if maybe this is just them kind of taking a step back real quick to regroup and come back firing out with 4 cars next year, right? When they figure out who can be full-time and, where they can get more money.
Yeah,
from.
we don't even know the JGR situation. I don't know that Brandon Jones is going to be full-time. We know that. But outside of that, I don't think we know any of those drivers. I know there's been some rumors around some guys, but and Corey Heim, we already know is going to be part-time Cup. Sounds like he's not going to have any full-time rides. He's just going to be bouncing around. I don't know. It's going to be weird, but that's all off-season talk we can definitely get into. But yeah, I say we move on to eat some Martinsville hot dogs. I mean, place some Martinsville bets. Right?
Boy, I would love to eat some Martinsville hot dogs someday. That is my bucket list on there. But yes, let's do all of that. But first, let me tell you about our friends over at MyBookie. We're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on football and everything else. Their prop builder is second to none. Their motto, bet on anything, anytime, anywhere. It's easy deposit and lightning fast payout using cryptocurrency. I know I usually give you some really exotic things to bet on that MyBookie has to offer, but I'm staring right now. The San Francisco 49ers are 1-point underdogs against the Houston Texans. Are you freaking kidding? Did you just watch the Houston Texans play last night? There's no way on God's green earth that they are going to beat the 49ers. I don't care if they're at home. I don't care if they're on a naval base. I don't care where they're at. They're not beating the San Francisco 49ers. We're too red hot right now. Give me the Niners +1, -110. You can give me the money line too at -108. Hell, give me the over at -110. Load me up on the 49ers over there on MyBookie.ag. Head to MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% bet back bonus up to $500 for new customers. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Novig. Novig is America's #1 sports prediction market. Novig is getting you the best prices. Novig is available in 35 states, and that number is growing. Download the Novig app and get $50 when you spend $5 when you use our promo code SGPN. Get in on the action with Novig, promo code SGPN. Not to mention, I'm very salty with Dalton Schultz because he is the person that cost me Bijan Robinson in my, I guess it's a vampire league or whatever, because he scored enough points to push the team over the limit that I had the threshold. And then, the guy got to steal Bijan from me. I'm pissed.
Yeah, that's tough, Rod. Sometimes that's how it goes. Shout out to our guy, Rowdy Nation. Played him this week in my Pirate League, where you just steal from your opponent. And he was the number one team coming into the matchup, Rod. Kicked his ass. Thanks for Puka. Appreciate it.
Boom. Yeah, well, when Puka gets good. That's, yeah. Laura checking in saying, afternoon, guys.
I caught him at the right time because basically everybody was injured. So, sucks for him, but that's how it goes.
Indeed, yeah. Laura checking in saying, no way Texans. Yeah, we watched our Niners actually do well, so love that one. David says, give it up for Gilly, second top 10 this weekend. Yeah, Gilliland getting it done for us.
Yeah, he was the top finish in Ford too. So, he was, by the way, top 10 finish at Martinsville in the spring, Rod. I think he'll be somebody we're going to be chatting about today. So we'll save that for sure. But on the NFL topic, by the way, I don't want to brag too much, but it might have been the top guy at SGP and against the spread once again this week. So, it happens.
If you're not following Cody, then you are missing out for sure. Speaking of missing out,
I love the NFL.
Me too. Don't miss out on Cody's NASCAR bets because guess what? Cody has got a ton of them for you, and a lot of them cashed last week, and let's hope that happens again. Yeah. So where are we starting?
Yeah, we had a good week, Rod. Real quick, there's 37 entries for this one.
Yeah,
Casey Mears is going to be back in the 66 car, so that's the only notable thing. By the way, he's going to be driving the 69 truck.
Nice.
On Friday. That'll be his 700th career NASCAR start between the Cup Xfinity Truck Series. 700 career starts, and it'll be his first truck start, too, which is pretty interesting. So there is that, but exciting little note for you there. To set up the playoffs, Chase Briscoe's in, Denny Hamlin's in. They won the last 2 weeks, obviously. They have nothing to worry about this weekend, which I think is going to be a big bonus for them. I love that for both of those guys. So shout out to them. They go into this, no sweat off their backs. They're locked into Phoenix. After that, it's very interesting. So Christopher Bell's 37 points to the good. Kyle Larson is 36 points to the good. Assuming that they don't have catastrophic days where they wreck out in the first stage, score basically no points, those two guys are both going to be in the championship four if one of the four below the cut line doesn't win. If one of the four below the cut line wins, it's now between Bell and Larson. And obviously, if one of them wins, they're in. But between Bell and Larson, 1 point difference going into this. So the story to watch all day is going to be them 2 points racing each other. And where does that go, right? They're going to be within one spot of each other. We're going to have to figure out what the tiebreaker is. Stage points obviously could come into play. All of that stuff. Because if we don't have a new winner between the other four, then they're fine. They're both going to likely be in. Again, it would be a catastrophic day to, they'd have to have a really bad day, which is not out of reach for Captain Shook or Bell himself. But then the four below the cut line, William Byron is 36 to the bad. Logano's 38 to the bad. Yes, they could point their way in, assuming one or two of those guys have bad days, but you're likely looking at must-wins for all of these guys. Ryan Blaney is at 47 points to the bad. Chase Elliott mathematically cannot point his way in. Blaney would need a ton of help to get there. But Elliott is 62 to the bad. So those four guys likely have to win to move on, which is going to make this exciting because Chase Elliott's won this race and made it to Phoenix and won the championship before. Ryan Blaney's won this race the last 2 years in a row. Joey Logano's won at Martinsville before. William Byron's won at Martinsville before. And above the cut line, Larson's won here. I think Bell's won here. I know Hamlin has won here. Briscoe's not won, but he's been good. And Truex obviously has won at this track as well. So honestly, Rod, I think it would be a pretty surprising if the winner was not one of these 8 drivers this weekend. I think that the winner will come from, and I'm going to keep Hamlin and Briscoe in there because I think they can just go out and race and have great days. I think that the winner comes from this group of 8. I am going to give out somebody that's not in this group of 8 for the number, but I'd be pretty surprised if it's not from this group of 8 that wins and snags their spot in Phoenix, potentially kicking out a Bell or a Larson, unless they're obviously, one of the ones that wins.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you look at and we'll talk about this too, but even if you look at iFantasy Races Next Gen Average Finishes Heat Chart in Martinsville, like you'll see all of these names, all the names you just read off, they're all in this top 10 because they're all usually in the playoffs.
And so the fall playoff race in particular, very chalky, but Martinsville in general, pretty chalky. You're going to have some pop-ups for the top 10. Gilliland did it in the spring, right? I've got some long shots in there. Don't worry. But I will say this week, much more reserved of a card. It's probably going to be very chalky, which makes it harder to bet because you're not getting great odds on a lot of stuff. Although some people, they don't wake up and just keep giving us shitty odds or good odds on our part, shitty odds on their part, but whatever. So yeah, it's going to be a chalky week, I think, but that being said, I think we've got some great bets to get to.
We do, and I forgot. I was remiss in my duties. I'm sorry. I scrambled in here because I had a very late afternoon, and so I'm a little discombobulated, but let me set up the race for you real quick. It is the Xfinity 500. We are set for 500 laps around this 0.526-mile paved track for 263.000 miles around the Martinsville Speedway in Martinsville, Virginia, the paperclip we know and love so well. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's start setting up our cards, Cody.
All good, Rod. We got to it. That's all that matters. I'm going to kick the show off in a bit of an unconventional way when it comes to the betting card. I'm going to start with the number of Fords that finish inside of the top 10 in this one. The number is set at 3.5. The over is -160. Books are pretty convinced that there's going to be a lot of Fords finishing inside of the top 10. The under, however, under 3.5 is +110. I will take the underside of this. I look at this group of Fords, and I don't know if the books are not factoring in who races for Ford or what's going on, because let's look at this, right? You've got Ryan Blaney, 2-time defending winner of this race. Probably he is the heavily betting favorite for this one. Probably going to be top 10, right? Okay, so we'll chalk him in there. But after that, it's Joey Logano. Could Joey be really good this weekend? Yes. Is Joey probably going to gamble at any possible chance he gets? I would almost guarantee it. I would literally bet on, do they make some weird strategy call trying to catch things right? And maybe it works out for him, but if you can find head-to-heads against Logano, there is a bell, -130. I almost did it. I couldn't quite pull the trigger. -130 is a little heavy, but I'd be looking to bet against Logano if you get the chance this weekend. Blaney's like -160 to him, which is actually tempting too, but that's really, really heavy. But outside of that, Josh Berry is the next Ford that's listed. Have we watched anything outside of the Las Vegas spring race? Josh Berry is fucking horrible. I don't know what, okay, so that's the third Ford on the field, and they have to get 4 inside of the top 10. Oh, this is going to be a tough, Brad Keselowski. Yes, he could do it. He's been fine week in and week out. He's been good here. Okay, I'll give him that. Ryan Preece, I'm going to make a case for him in a few. JD Cass, saw your bet in there. That's on the card. So we're already going to be hedged because, to be completely honest with you, it's a top 10 bet coming up. So if he gets in the top 10 and we lose this bet because of that, fine. But we might be able to get him in the top 10 and not hit this bet, which, by the way, is what happened in the spring, because he was the best finishing Ford at 7th place in the spring, and there was only 3 Fords inside of the top 10. There was 4 last fall in this race. Keselowski was 9th, Logano was 10th. That's what rounded out the top 10 for him. And then in April of 24, there was 4 Fords. Chase Briscoe was one of those Fords, obviously not in Ford anymore, and that team completely gone. So, but then going down the list from that, Chris Buescher, Austin Cindric. I know Ash was asking about him at the top of the show. Maybe he shows up fine, but then Todd Gilliland, you're getting into really long shots. So you're telling me that Blaney, Logano, Berry, Keselowski, Preece, Buescher, Cindric, 4 of those guys have to finish in the top 10 when you have 3 JGR cars that I almost certainly will be in the top 10. You have 2 Hendrick cars that'll almost certainly be in the top 10. That's already 5 cars, right? You've got another JGR car that can be, another HMS car that can be, and that's not including anybody else from the Bubba Wallaces of the world who's been great here. And I just don't know how Ford gets 4 cars inside of the top 10 with how Ford just in general is running right now. Yeah, RFK's maybe been a little better, but I don't know. Not completely sold. Give me the under 3.5 Fords inside of the top 10 at +110.
Only 3 Fords even have an average finish better than, actually make that 2 Fords only have an average finish better than 10. That's Ryan Blaney at 4.57, Joey Logano at 5.57. The next guy on the list is Ryan Preece, but he's only got 5 races here instead of 7.
Yeah. And it's funny because if you're looking at the next gen numbers, like Eric Almirola is included in that. He's 5th place here in average finish. That's a Ford driver who typically is always inside but he doesn't exist. That team doesn't. Well, he exists, but he doesn't race in the Cup Series anymore. That team doesn't in the Cup Series. Chase Briscoe's on this list, mostly from his time with Ford and SHR. He's not in a Ford anymore, not on the list anymore. Like Kevin Harvick is one of the next Fords on this. He's not in a Ford. That team doesn't exist anymore. And I think Blaney I think Logano really could be the one that swings this, because I think they're going to take a wild swing at something because they're going to have no other choice. And that's how he gets into these things is you're just like, they did what? And then he's just hoping that he doesn't run out of fuel or that the caution falls at the right time or whatever. I don't know. I think that if nothing else, it shouldn't be minus 160 on the over. Like how we're this confident in Ford. Oof. I don't know about that. So give me the under.
Indeed. Okay. I'm with you on that one only because, like you said, I think there's a lot of Chevys that are going to be up there. Obviously, the 2 Fords from Penske are going to be there, but that's probably about it. So I like that, but I'm going to start out mine a little more conventionally with Kyle Larson. I know we're joking. I know that he shook. I know that at Talladega, he shook again, but that's a super speedway, and we kind of expect that out of super speedway racing and Kyle Larson, right? So this time, Marcus, earmuffs, I'm taking Kyle Larson over Christopher Bell, minus 110 over on ESPN. Okay, but listen, here's the thing. I know, I get it. I understand. We have the graphic. It's all whatever. But this particular track, Kyle Larson is 5 of 7 in beating Christopher Bell head-to-head.
We've never heard these stats before. Oh, the greatest driver to ever race at Bristol. Oh, Kansas. It's the best track he's ever raced on in his entire career. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Go ahead. Just keep telling us all the same things we've heard about all these other tracks.
All right, but you know what? Guess what? Kyle Larson has been on a tear of pretty decent runs lately. 7th at Loudon, 6th at Kansas, 2nd at the Roval, 2nd at Las Vegas. Obviously, Talladega, we kind of throw that out the window because it's a super speedway. But look, he's getting his sea legs again, all right? If we're going to use the pirate analogy one more time.
I'm not throwing Talladega out the window, by the way. Even his fuel tank is shook, right?
Hey, listen, but if this was a super speedway handicapping, we'd say, well, he's not good at super speedways, and we throw this out the window anyways, right? So we can't pick and choose the way we use stats. I mean, we can, but we can't.
We do it every week.
But here's the thing, right? Christopher Bell, we do it every week. Yeah, we do it every day. Christopher Bell's obviously been good, and he's been good all over the place, and he's been good lately, right? 8th at Talladega, 3rd at Vegas, 3rd at the Roval. But, by the way, Kyle Larson beat him in both of those. 3rd at Kansas, okay, he got him at Kansas and at Loudon, and he won at Bristol and 7th at Gateway. So, Christopher Bell, I mean, this is going to be a very, very close finish. But, again, if you look at this track in particular, Christopher Bell's 11th overall in average finish on this track in the next gen era. 14.71 average finish. Christopher Bell has finishes of 20th. He won 16th, 7th, 35th, 22nd, and 2nd. Let me just read off these fall numbers for you as well. 22nd, and then 7th, and then he won in the fall earlier. So, again, the spring race is a little more skewed heavy toward Larson, but here's Larson's numbers. 19th, 2nd, 1st, 6th, 2nd, 3rd, 5th. Once again, I get that he's probably going to lock himself in if he's around the front, but he's going to have to stay around the front, right? Christopher Bell, same kind of thing, and you're right. They're going to be points racing each other, so they're going to be close to each other. They're going to be trying to outdo each other. But track history, and look, it doesn't matter to me if he's like super shook right now. He found his way to a second-place finish in Vegas. I think he's shook a little bit of the shookedness, and I think he might very well be going in the right direction, especially heading into the playoffs. So I will take Kyle Larson over Christopher Bell, minus 110. Expert Suck saying, I wish I could post my head-to-head parlay on here. Straight rod fade. That's fine. Take Bell over Larson. It's all good. But I do think, again, this is going to be close.
Yeah, I don't know how you bet on Kyle Larson right now. I don't. I mean, again, he was running great last week, but that's what we say every time it comes to super speedway, and it's always something that happens. It wasn't a wreck this time, but something happened, and it always happens, and it's just you can't catch a break on super speedways. That's a whole other story. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. He's been good here, yes, but That's what we said at Kansas. That's what we said at Las Vegas. That's what we said at Bristol. That's what we said at here and there and everywhere. And he's shook right now. So yeah, I'm just not going to touch him.
That's fine. I don't fault anybody for it, but again, I have this feeling. I have a feeling that this is going to be a much different situation because this 5 team just needs to get their act together as they go into the playoffs. They can't go into the playoffs with shook, right? They just can't. So, and this is, again, there's a bunch of different offerings on this one, and search around because, in some instances, Christopher Bell is actually the underdog in this as overall. It's crazy how different some of these books have this whole thing going on. So, yeah, I mean, look, take it or leave it. It's up to you. Expert Suck saying done prior to the show. Truth Matters saying if you think Blaney will win, wouldn't it be better to take $1,400 for the championship than to cash out or keep?
We're gonna have the conversation on championship odds when we get to the outright section because I think it's a conversation we at least need to quickly have because if basically there's 4 guys that have to win this week in order to get in. So yeah, and there's some spicy championship stuff. So we'll talk about it quickly at the end of the show.
We most certainly will. But before we get to any more of that, allow me to tell you about our friends, formerly for the first time, about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is a great place to play fantasy pick'em where you can win up to 5,000 times your entry. Simply pick higher or lower on your favorite player's stats. It's available in a ton of sports. Look, there's esports, there's highlight on there, there's Korean baseball. If you want some Korean baseball, there's all kinds of great stuff on there. Basketball. Let's see. Let's look at what they got on esports. Look at that Valorant. I'm trying. It's so hard to pick because there's so many good things to pick from. But let's just go to the NFL. Aaron Jones. His rushing and receiving TDs. I don't know if I want to touch the higher. How about Jordan Mason? Higher than a half of a rushing and receiving touchdown. That's at 1.1 time your money. I need Jordan Mason to do well for me this fantasy week. I'm still reeling from my loss last time. So give me Jordan Mason higher than 1.5 or higher than a half of a rushing touchdown or receiving touchdown at 1.1 times your money. You can get all of that good stuff. Plus, I got a brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5. Get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code RACE, SGPN. NFL's back, baby, and Rhythm is crushing it in college football and the NFL with their picks and the props. Rhythm is also giving away weekly cash prizes just for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets of the same type from any model you build. You can win $1,000. Use promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app for 25% off of your first month. Download Rhythm and use promo code SGPN25. Trying to get more into highlight. I know that that's one sport that I've watched a couple times, and I really want to get more into it because it looks exciting.
What is highlight?
So highlight is you have this thing that's attached to your arm, and it's like a big, those scoopy things that you use when you're throwing the ball with your kid in the backyard, and it's got the ball, and you like do that. And
I think that's for dogs, but
sure, it's kids' dogs, right? It's whatever. I don't judge. But you do that, and you throw the ball against the wall. It's a pretty hard ball, and you throw it against the wall, and the other team's supposed to try to catch it, and if you don't catch it, and there's a whole thing to it, and it's pretty intense.
I used to play it a lot when I was a kid with the garage. You just throw it, and the other guy tries to catch. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm very familiar with the sport now.
See, I tell you, it doesn't take long to get into it, and you learn, and you're like,
could have been professional highlight player. Oh well, here we are.
All right, Cody, let's continue down the card for Martinsville.
Well, instead of being a professional highlight player, I will just professionally keep betting on Chase Briscoe because why would we not? They just keep giving us these gifts, Rod. It's like, have they paid any attention to anything that's gone on lately? And yet every week they just keep giving them to us. Last week he was 25-1, and I said it when I gave him out. I was like, hey, he's not really been great at super speedways, but look at what he's been doing. And it worked out. And it's just, how do you not keep betting this guy when you keep getting opportunities? He's coming into this race with no pressure. Just go out there and have fun. They're not even going to be, I think there's something to be said for both him and Hamlin. We'll talk about in a few. About they just get to go in and have fun. Like they've both been good at this track. You just go out, run your race. They're already practicing for Phoenix. They're probably not even running simulator stuff for Martinsville this week. They just got to go out and have fun. There's no pressure. there's something to be said for that. Sometimes when there's no pressure, you just perform better because you don't have all the pressure. Whereas Captain Shook, he's got a lot of pressure on him this week, right? So, Chase Briscoe, top 5, plus 225. This, to me, is a bit shocking because he doesn't need to go out and win. Sure, maybe he lets his teammate Christopher Bell win. Maybe Captain Shook is up there battling for the win. Maybe Joey Logano with his Scott Dixon fuel tank is up there battling for that. It doesn't matter. All he has to do is finish top 10 or top 5, rather. I will take that. If you go back, what have you done for me lately, right? He's just been on fire. First place, obviously, at Talladega. 4th at Las Vegas. A horrible 14th place at the Charlotte Road Course, but 4th at Kansas, 10th at New Hampshire, 9th at Bristol, 2nd at Gateway, 1st at Darlington. Daytona was a little rough. Richmond, fine, but 5th at Watkins Glen, 2nd at Iowa, 18th at Indy, but 2nd at Dover, 2nd at Sonoma, 1 at Pocono, 7th at Sonoma. Going back, 4th at Kansas, 3rd at Charlotte in the 600. Just he's had a great, great season. Oh, and by the way, he's been really, really good at this track prior to being in JGR equipment. So you go back in the spring race here, end of March, still trying to figure stuff out. That was when he was making the comments about, I don't even know how to drive a car that's this good. He finished 9th place here. So not a bad finish. We're not going to hold anything that happened in the spring against him as they were trying to figure everything out. Clearly, it's figured out. His last year here in Stewart-Haas, 15th and 10th place. Honestly, I'm going to kind of throw those out because the team was going away. They were struggling. Just performance wasn't that good. Still a 10th place finish, though, in the spring race is pretty decent. Prior to that, 4th, 5th place finishes, 9th place finishes back in 2022. So he's been very good here. And actually in that 2023 spring race, led 109 laps out front quite a bit. Been very good here. He's a guy we hit on top 5 multiple times at Stewart-Haas. Bigger numbers, you're not going to get that quite anymore. But this is too big of a number for a guy who should be running up and near the front. Don't need him to go win to cash this. Just go get a top 5 at plus 225. And then I'm going to throw his top Toyota in here at 6-1. Again, I'm looking at him, Bell, and Hamlin as equals going into all these races now. I don't think there's that much separation. And Hamlin, I think you probably still make the case that he's more of like the hot driver and has everything going for him, right? Because it's just been really, really good for him lately, and he's been great at this track. But Bell has struggled a lot lately. That's been, kind of a thing, and you noted it in your case against him a few minutes ago. But for some reason, you look at the top Toyota market, Hamlin's plus 130, Bell is plus 170, and Briscoe is 6-1. So if these guys are all pretty close together, and yet one of them is much higher priced than the other two, doesn't make sense, and it's worth betting. So I'm going to take Briscoe as that top Toyota. Maybe Bell gambles late because they know that Blaney's going to win, and Larson's outpointed him in both the things and has to do something crazy. Maybe Denny struggles a little bit, and suddenly Briscoe's the next best car by quite a bit. So, yeah, give me Chase Briscoe, top 5, plus 225, and top Toyota, 6-1.
Yeah, and really for Briscoe, like you said, all the pressure's off, and he's so, it's so crazy how you called it at the beginning of the year. You said Briscoe was going to catch up, and you actually did. You were on the Briscoe train for a better part of the year, so congrats to you and your flowers.
It could not have worked out more perfectly. The plan at the beginning of the year was fade, because he's going to struggle. There was remember coming into the season, it was like, oh, he's going to win 14 races. Oh, my God, he's going to win the championship. And it was like, okay, let's let him get comfortable. And he struggled for a bit. And then as soon as the coin flipped, that was our chance. And he's just been a cash cow the rest of the season for us. And they just keep letting us bet on him. So why stop now?
Yeah, I know, for real. Why stop now? All right, I'm going to go to the top 10 market, and I'm going to start with Bubba Wallace as a top 10 car, plus 150 over on Hard Rock. This one's down as low as plus 110 in some spots, so Hard Rock definitely giving you the best price on this one. So I do like Bubba, and when I was talking about the average finishes here as far as the next-gen era, Bubba Wallace sits there in 8th place overall in average finish in the next-gen era, 9.86 average finish on this track. He has only got 3 finishes in the next-gen era outside of the top 10, a 16th place in the spring of 2022, followed by an 8th place in the fall, 9th in the spring of 2023, followed by an 11th place in the fall, 4th place in the spring of 2024, followed by 18th in the fall, and then a 3rd place finish in the most recent spring race. And really, again, with Bubba Wallace, if you look at his finishes this season, he's got 14 top 10 finishes in 34 starts. Obviously finished 4th last week at Talladega. I know it's a super speedway, but 5th at Kansas earlier, 8th at Gateway, 6th at Darlington, 6th at Iowa. He won Indy, 7th at Dover. Some really, really solid finishes. 6th at Nashville on some of these shorter tracks, right, that aren't necessarily full mile and a halves. But bad day at Bristol, 19th place. But again, lately he's really been on it, and this 23 team has been a solid top 10 contender for most of the back part of this season, right? Like I said, his 14 top 10 finishes are pretty solid for Bubba Wallace, who seems to be in the right headspace, seems to be in the right ride right now for him to be able to just sort of go in and be a top 10 contender on a week-to-week basis. And plus 150, when you look at the top 10 market, and Cody and I both kind of probably did the same thing when we looked at him, we're like, this is gross, because most of the chalky guys are really, really not priced well versus some of these long shots that, like I told you before, look, the top 10 of the next-gen average finishes, I'm just going to go ahead and read it off. It's Ryan Blaney first, Kyle Larson, Logano, Elliott, Hamlin, Briscoe, Chastain is up there, and Bubba Wallace, Byron, and Preece. Those are the top 10. If you take out Preece because he doesn't have nearly as many, then it's Christopher Bell right there in 11th. So the top 10 is populated in average finish with chalky drivers, right? And so if you're going for top 10 bets, yeah, there's a couple of people that we can give you as long shots, but boy, by and large, if you're looking at this heat chart, there's not a lot of splashes of top 10 green outside of these guys. Like, it's heavy green at the top and then sort of yellowish and oranges toward the middle. So for a guy like Bubba Wallace to still be plus money, I like it. Bubba Wallace plus 150 for a top 10.
Yeah, and TK with a great point here. Bubba's average would be even better if not for his deflating tire last year. Cough, cough.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Freddie Kraft got suspended after saying, "Oh, it looks like your tire's going down," or something, where they were kind of trying to slow down. And I think that was to help Bell get in. Remember, came down to Bell and Byron. We had to sit there for 45 minutes and wait to see which one was in after the race or whatever. But yeah, no, I fully back this. I love this bet. And I went to put this in the doc. You'd already beat me to it. So full endorsement from me on this. He's been great at this track. He's been running well lately. Another Toyota getting in the top 10 makes for less Ford. So I like that. Yeah, I love this though. All right. Speaking of Chase Briscoe, we're going to just keep piling on. This is why I'm calling it Chaseville instead of Martinsville now. Briscoeville, maybe we go with Briscoeville. That sounds a little better. We're going to go with Briscoeville. But yeah, so ESPN is allowing you to parlay the top 10s. And I'm going to take Denny Hamlin and Chase Briscoe. You parlay them together, it's plus 105. Like you said, the top 10 market, interesting this week because we're both think that it's going to be a very chalky race. It tends to always be chalky at Martinsville, and maybe this is the one week where it won't be because we say that, but it tends to be very chalky, and so that makes it hard because you're looking for top 10s, but it's like, there's a couple out there, right? And I got a couple long shots because somebody's always going to sneak in. Got that with Gilliland in the spring. You've gotten that in the past, but for the most part, going to be pretty chalky. So putting together two of these chalky guys who I think are going to be competing for this win, and Truth Matters is a great point too. The 11 and 19, if they win, the 20's in. So it's not like they have to go out and part of them protecting for Bell and helping Bell is just winning the race, because if they win, Bell's getting in, assuming he's not had a catastrophic day at the beginning of the day, or obviously. But even then, maybe depending on how the points shake out, could still help. But I think both these guys are going to be in the top 10. I've already talked a lot about Briscoe. Denny Hamlin, obviously, we've talked a lot about how well he's done lately. He's been very good here. He's got an 8.1 average finish in the 7 next-gen races here, and it's been almost all good. First place here in the spring, he led 274 laps. 5th place here in the fall last year. 11th in 2024 spring race, so, oh boy, didn't get the top 10 that time, but 3rd in 2023 October race, led 156. 4th in April of 23. 5th in October of 22, led 203. So he's been pretty good here. And then the very first next-gen race was a 28th place. That's kind of what's dragging down that average. But outside of that, he's been a top 10 car just about every race. So I think you put those two guys together. This is one where I'm just not going to overthink it. Two guys that are racing with no pressure. They've been very good, should be good again this week. I don't think there's anything you got to try this week that's going to be crazy or whatever to help you with Phoenix. I think they're just going to go out and run their race. Then going to go over to Caesars, and I should probably find the odds on this bet since I forgot to put them in there. But there is a group over on Caesars, and that's Group B. And Group B has Chase Briscoe in it. Shocking. Another bet on Briscoe. He's going to make or break our week, essentially. But you can get him in this group. Well, I had it, and then I lost it. Where'd it go, Rod? Here it is. Groups. There we go. Great radio here. Okay, Group B over on the Caesars. You can get Chase Briscoe, even as a favorite at plus 210. Now, if I was building a Chase Briscoe group, I would have guys like Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin, like I just mentioned, and maybe Kyle Larson or William Byron. He's matched up against Josh Berry. Like, should be good here, yeah, but he's fucking been shit all season. Bubba Wallace, I do think is going to be in the top 10. You made the point, and I agree with that. But I think Briscoe's clearly been the better driver and better car, and I think that's going to hold up. And Ross Chastain, who you mentioned has a great average finish here. You expect him to be good here, but, well, we thought that at Las Vegas at his best track 2 weeks ago, and he was a no-show. So is he at Martinsville? Is he in Cabo? Who knows? But I think this is a pretty weak group for be matched up against. Plus 210. I'll take him in this. Again, just not overthinking things. Ride with the guy who's made us all this money. And I think you pair him and Hamlin together, get that plus 10 or top 10 at plus 105. And then the Group B over on Caesars over Barry, Bubba, and Ross. Even if Bubba has a great day, which I expect, even if Ross can top 10, which I think he can, I don't expect Barry to be that good. And I think Briscoe is going to be an elite car, whereas I think those other two guys are just going to be top 10 cars. So, yeah, give me Briscoe in that one at plus 210.
Yeah, and really, to your point about Ross Chastain, yeah, his average finish here is 9.14. He's got 2 top 10 finishes in the last 2 races here, 8th place in the fall, 6th place in the spring, but 13th, 14th. And honestly, like you said, it's just to me, I don't see the momentum that he was carrying with him, obviously, over the last couple of seasons heading into this particular race. And,
yeah, one of those was the Hail Melon race where he raced into the top, into the Final Four. He doesn't have that to race for. Like, what I saw coming off of that Roval, he was so mad at himself. He was so pissed. Like the perfect get up and show everybody at my best track at Las Vegas, and dude was nowhere to be found. I saw his face on a milk carton. I mean, I don't. Why is he going to show up this week if he didn't then? I don't know. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Indeed. All right. Something I do think that could happen, and at 9-1 is worth a definite shot. How about Todd Gilliland? We're riding Gilly Gang. I know there's a lot of folks in the chat that were all over the Gilly Gang. Look, he did it for us last week. I think he could do it for us again. Top 10 finish for Todd Gilliland. 9-1. 9-1. Sorry, just got a little bit choked up on that one. Yeah, 9-1. No, that was a legit choke up on Hard Rock. And obviously, look, he did it last year he did it earlier this spring, rather, a 10th place finish. I know it's 26th in the fall of last year, but 13th in the spring before that, just outside of the top 10. How about a top 10 finish in the 2023 fall race, and then 25 in the spring, but 13th in the fall. So his fall finishes 13th, 10th. And 26th. So, yeah, I mean, only one of them was on the side of the top 10. But, boy, when your other 2 finishes in this track are just outside of the top 10, I feel like 9-1 is not necessarily that it's just too good of a number to pass up on a guy that could very well do that. Now, we talk about Todd Gilliland and what he's done this season, right? We did see him finish 10th at Martinsville. He followed that up with a 14th place at Darlington. A couple of really near misses inside of the top 10. Texas, 11th place. And this is a 1.5 mile track, right? Kansas, 12th place. So some good runs in that 34 on oval tracks that you probably were like, well, yeah, okay. But then 6th in Indianapolis this year. And then, like we said, 2nd last week at Talladega, 12th earlier at Kansas as well. The 34 just decides every once in a while to pop up and get himself a top 10 finish or finish really close to the top 10. It's very difficult to predict, and that's why it's 9-1. But boy, when it hits like it did last week, it is a very beautiful sight to see. And, we're given 9-1 for a guy that's done it a couple of times over the last few seasons in the next gen era. And then, of course, a guy that's been close to it on some other occasions as well. But yeah, like I said, it's not a really huge case to make. It's just something that, look, it's 9-1. We told you that the top 10 are probably going to be chalky. Todd Gilliland's been one of the guys that's been able to pop his head in and do it a couple of times, where some of these other guys have only done it once, and it's not really that close in average finish. So, yeah, give me Todd Gilliland for another top 10 finish this week at 9-1 on Hard Rock.
Yeah, not going to see me argue against Todd Gilliland very often, and I don't plan to today. Probably one that I would have tossed in here had you not already taken it. So I'm going to go with a little bit. This one, more of a gut bet than anything, I guess. AJ Allmendinger top 10. You got Bet365 or Fanatics rather, with some good top 10 lines this week, and their odds have been looking a little bit better here lately. So a book, if it's not in your regular rotation, to maybe check out a little more as you're price shopping around. We'll give them a little props for that. But I'm going to take AJ 8-1 for his top 10 finish. Again, if we think it's going to be super chalky, you got to find the guys who we think can poke their heads in there and kind of get it done, right? And Gilliland, I think, is one of those guys, and I think AJ is capable of it. In the next-gen car, it's not been super great for him here. 23rd, 28th, 27th, 23rd, 24th, consistent, but not overly great. But if you go back to the pre-next-gen days with JTG, 14th, 8th, 40th, but 6th, 10th, 2nd, 11th, 9th, 11th, 2nd again, back in the Penske days, back in 2012. Like, he's been good at this track previously. They are introducing a new left side tire this week. It was tested at New Hampshire a couple of weeks ago. It's supposed to wear a little bit more. Goes into the veteran guys who can save their tires potentially. Again, we don't know what we're going to get with these tires ever, but Goodyear's been hitting it more lately than they've not been. So hopefully we're going to get somewhere with this tire. I think that helps AJ. Martinsville tends to be a track where road course braking comes into play. We see that a lot, right? It's a lot of similar braking types. Maybe those two things can align for him. So kind of a gut play. Maybe he gets back to, he's been good at this track previously. And he's been doing pretty in here lately. Some good runs, some bad runs. Yeah, it's kind of been a mixed bag, but Colleague's been running a little bit better. Give me AJ Allmendinger top 10 at 6-1. And then Laura's jumping in here. She wants to know if we have any thoughts on SVG.
In fact,
I'm glad you asked, because you can get SVG on Bet365 and Fanatics again, 22-1 for a top 10 finish. Sign me up. I just got done making the case about how road course braking, tire wear, all the things that we love when it comes to SVG, right? He's great at both of those things. That, and we've seen a market improvement from SVG lately. Go back to last week, he gets an 11th place finish at Talladega. Las Vegas, he was running top 10 all day until the end, ends up with a 33rd place finish, but he was a top 10 car throughout the course of the day. Obviously won at the Roval, but Kansas, he finished in 10th place there. He's really been starting to figure some stuff out. You want a shorter track? Okay, Richmond, he finished in 14th place there. He's been putting together some pretty good runs, a little bit better, week in and week out. That's going to be a very fun conversation to have this offseason. What do we expect from a very improving SVG? You're starting to see these places again and again, and is getting better and better. But now you come here with him on a track where we could get higher tire wear, where we could get other stuff. Oh, and by the way, his first start was here last year in this race. He finished 12th place in a Colic car, in the 16 car, by the way, which AJ Allmendinger is driving. So if you want to use that to make the case again. But yeah, 12th place, 34th here in the spring. Shit happens, right? Whatever. But 22-1 for a top 10 for a guy who's been drastically improved. Now you introduce tire wear potentially a little more. You have the road course braking part of things. He's still only been here twice in his Cup Series career, but a couple times in Xfinity. So it's one of those tracks where he doesn't get all this practice time and all these laps. He's continuing to get better and better. And yeah, TK says you probably need to bet that sooner rather than later, because FanDuel has him at 5-1, Rod. So like 22-1 in some places, 365 in Fanatics, 5-1. I was going to give him out 16-1, I think, on ESPN. If that's all you can get, I would still take that. But if you can get the 22-1, go fucking get it sooner rather than later, because it's not going to stick around. And I think that he's got the capability to do it. 22-1, that's kind of what you're looking for here.
I'm telling you, I always equate it to the Happy Gilmore scene when he putts and he's like, Happy learned to putt. Like, that's what it's going to be with the rest of the field when SVG learns how to do these ovals correctly, right? I mean, it's just, SVG learned how to run an oval, and then we're talking Connor Zilic type domination all over.
But yeah, when that happens, watch out, because It's potentially coming very soon.
It is. All right. Speaking of coming pretty soon, Elliott, top 5. This is plus 100 over on DK. It's minus money in some other places. At least it was plus money this morning when I looked it up. So I don't know if it stayed that way. But DK is giving you the best price for this one at even money. Elliott, top 5. The handicap is simple for this one. I'm not even going to spend a whole lot of time breaking it down. Needs to win to get in, which means he's going to be taking every chance he gets. He's going to be in the top 5 for most of the day. And if he misses, then he ends up in the top 5, right? I mean, this isn't like a checkers or wreckers type of a situation. This is Elliott is going to do his best to win this race. And that means he has to stay within touch of the leaders all day long. And you know this 9 car can do it, right? It's been a rough season for Elliott altogether. It's not really been the way he wants to enter the final race of the playoffs before the championship. It's definitely kind of obviously not the way he envisioned it. And 40th at the Talladega last week, 18th at Las Vegas, 8th at the Roval. He did win at Kansas and finished 5th at Loudon and then 3rd at Gateway. So look, again, like I said, I don't have to sit here and tell you how good of a race car driver Chase Elliott is. That you all know that. And you all know that the current situation he's in so far under the cut line, he's going to have to win. So if that means that he puts himself in position for a top 5 finish at the end of the race at even money, I mean, that's about as good a top 5 proposition as you can get, because a lot of these guys are so juiced in their top 5 numbers, even the top 5 numbers, that it's hard to touch. So getting the guy that needs to win at plus money, I think that's the way to go. So give me Elliott top 5 at even money over on DK.
Yeah, I actually really like this bet. I've got more thoughts on Elliott here later, so I will save those. Shout out to Captain Two Stroke. Says, hello, gents. Sweet. Caught you live. You caught us live doing this thing. So, yeah, let's keep doing it. And I know that JDK, it was way back in the comments. I'm not going to scroll up that far, but JDK mentioned a must-bet top 10, and that was Ryan Preece at 10-1. Well, this is going to be this week's. It's a mini car lift. It's not a full-on car lift, but a couple of bets that I like on Ryan Preece. Going to start with his top 10 at 3-1 over on DraftKings. I really, really like this bet. I think you're getting great value here for a guy that grew up running the Martinsville types of tracks, modified guy. This is his bread and butter. You can also get his top 4 to 18-1, which, by the way, he did in the spring. So not completely out of the question for him to do, right? And I think the winner is going to come from those top 8, but just in case it doesn't, you can get him to win at 80-1. So Ryan Preece, though, looking back at what he's done here at this track in particular, at Martinsville, back in the spring race, I mentioned he was the top forward in the race with a 7th place finish. That would cash your top 10, cash your top forward in the spring as well. 14th place here in November of 24. Again, Stuart Haas, going away team. 9th place here, though, in the spring of that race of last year, in this race, 2024. 20th in October of 23 wasn't great. 15th in April of 2023, but started on the pole, led the first 135 laps of the race, caught speeding on pit road from the lead, tanked his day, fought all the way back to 15th. It was an impressive run from him, but he's been very good on this track. And the point was made in the comments earlier about RFK's been running a lot better. They have, and he has as well. 15th at Talladega, 6th at Vegas, 6th at the Roval a couple of weeks ago. 14th in New Hampshire was actually a bit disappointing, but Iowa, a short track you want to go back and look at, a 5th place finish there. 4th at Indy. He's had some good runs kind of down the stretch here. Preece has figured some stuff out. It's been an impressive season, better than I thought he would have been this season. Now we're coming to a track that he's been great at, and you're getting really good numbers on him. The 3-1 top 10, I love that one. Top 4, it should be Blaney. Ryan Blaney should be the top finishing forward in this race. But how many times? Well, actually, I think how many races have we had? 34. I think I've said that in all 34 races. And he's not been the top forward in a lot of those races because sometimes things happen. And it did in the spring. Ryan Blaney finished 11th. I think he was like the 4th finishing forward on the day. So give me Preece. And by the way, if Preece ends up being the 4th forward into the top 10 in this case, fine. I'll take the 3-1, lose the plus 110 on the other bet. I don't care. But I think it's a decent chance you can double dip and get both of these, because I think you probably only get Ryan Blaney in there. I don't think that Logano ends up in there. I'm not sold on the Cindric thing, and we'll see where the rest of the Fords kind of fall. But yeah, give me Ryan Preece top 10 at 3-1, top 4 to 18-1, and to win at 80-1.
I mean, look, it could just end up being Logano, Blaney, and Preece in the top 10, and then you're good to go on both of them. So Absolutely love that as well. All right. Well, guys, I don't normally do this, but I did see I saw a pre-built parlay on, I think it was ESPN, and I was like, you know what? Nope, I'm going to go one better than this, and I'm going to go the top 10 exacta. Like I said, I don't normally do this. This is hashtag DGens only, as Cody has put in the doc for this. This is just picking the top 10. You can parlay top 10s. Well, why not parlay the entire top 10? Okay? Follow me on this one. I'm taking Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Joey Logano, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, and Todd Gilliland, all to finish inside of the top 10. Why, you ask? Well, Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, all in the final 8. We say it every single time we go into these playoff races. You see that top 10 full of yellow and whatever color or underlines or however they want to designate the playoff drivers. Well, I expect that to be the case as well in this race because guess what? I just read you off a couple of minutes ago the top 10 average finishes. Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe. I'm leaving out Ross Chastain because I'm jumping over him to go Bubba Wallace, William Byron, and then I'm adding Todd Gilliland in there because of the nice little long shot. What does that get you? It gets you plus 15557. So $10 will get you $1,557 if you bet this crazy, crazy top 10 parlay, the top 10 exacta. I mean, look, is it going to cash? Probably not, because that's why it's 150 million thousand to 1. But it's a lot of fun to sweat this type of a bet because, like we said, it's chalky. And these are all the chalky drivers with Wallace and Gilliland added in. If we think Gilly's going to get in the top 10, if we think all these playoff drivers are going to be in the top 10, put your money where your mouth is. Again, I don't normally say this, and I don't normally do that, but I figured we'd have some fun because it's such a chalky race that car numbers are not as fun, and some of these other ones aren't as fun. So, yeah, we'll add a fun bet to your card and give you the top 10 exacta, and I'll go over those at the end of the race or at the end of the show.
What a party if that hits, Rod. I'll tell you that. That'll be a hell of a party.
It's a fun sweat, though, right? I mean, think about how fun it would be to actually have all of these guys in the top 10 for one point and be like, oh, my God, I'm holding a plus 155.57 ticket in my hand. But, you know, whatever. Like I said, I don't normally do that, but what the hell? Why not? We're almost done with the season.
Absolutely. So getting to the outright winners here, I think let's start with your outrights, and then we can go into mine. And then, because that'll lead into the championship talk, if you're good with that.
Sure. Well, yeah. So you had talked earlier about Elliott, and you're going to give all the numbers for Elliott as well. But Ryan Blaney, another guy that just really, I mean, yeah, he can point his way in, but why? Why try to point your way in when you can win?
But really, and that's the thing is like, really, he can't. So with the bottom 4, they're not going to point their way in unless Larson or Bell goes out in the first stage before they get a shot at any points. Really, the bottom 4 have to look at this as a must-win. That's the only thing that can be on their mind. Mid-race, if Larson and Bell wreck each other going into the first turn or something crazy, they can adjust. But the bottom 4 drivers have to look at this as a must-win going into this race. I think all 4 of them will have that attitude going into this weekend. They have to win to find their way to Phoenix.
Well, and that's where Ryan Blaney's at right now. And Ryan Blaney, the best average finish in the next-gen era here on this track. 4th, 3rd, 7th, 1st, 5th, 1st, and 11th in the spring. But again, Ryan Blaney in the spring was not the Ryan Blaney that we're seeing right now. And like we said, you know, this is not really all just about what he's done on this track, which, by the way, like we said, is really super because obviously if you're going to come to a track where you have to win, one where you've won in the last couple of years definitely makes you feel better. And both of those were fall races, by the way, to lock himself into the championship for. So he knows he can do it. He's got to get it done. His back's against the wall right now. 17 top 10 finishes, 5 top 5s, 2 wins so far this season, the most recent of which came in Kansas, right? 3rd at Gateway earlier, 6th at Dover, 1 Atlanta. Just like I said, it's a Ryan Blaney race. He needs to win this race. It's in the cards for him to do so. He's got the best average finish. It's Ryan Blaney, right? You can't Can't stress that enough. And at 4-1 is what he's at right now. And that's probably, I know he's the favorite at 4-1, but 4-1 on ESPN is the best number you can get. In other places, he's plus 300, he's plus 325. Like, ESPN's giving you the best odds for him as well. And then I'm going to toss in Denny Hamlin at 7-1. Just what if Hamlin comes out and decides to be good? Hamlin has done well for himself. He won in the spring earlier this year, 5th, before that, 11th, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 28th. If it's these JGR guys trying to get Christopher Bell into the playoffs, then it's either Briscoe or it's Hamlin, right? And Cody already gave you Briscoe, so I might as well give you Hamlin to win this race. And 7-1 for a guy that's won here. And Martinsville, right? We talk about how good Denny is always at Martinsville and how this is his home track. Then, he probably wants another grandfather clock to put in his house. And 7-1 is a good price to bet on that.
Yeah, I can't argue against either of these. Blaney won this race in particular in the fall, the 500-miler, the last 2 years in a row. I mean, how do you argue against that? He's got his back against the wall now. He's shown early in his career that was a question. If he had his back against the wall, it seemed like he couldn't perform. Not a question anymore. Denny Hamlin, I mean, dude's just firing on all fucking cylinders right now. He, if Denny Hamlin wins a championship, Rod, I think this will be the year he wins. If he doesn't win this year, I don't think we see Denny Hamlin win a championship. He's not a guy that I'm going to be betting against right now. So I do not mind either of these outrights. I'm going to take Chase Elliott at plus 650. If you look at him here at this track, back against the wall, must win. He absolutely has no way to point his way in. 62 points below the cut line. He can only earn 61 points, and other drivers would still earn points for starting the race. So no way for him to make it up. He has to win this race to get to Phoenix. Same situation he was in back in 2020. Went out, led 236 laps, won this race. So he's been able to do it before. Very, very good here in the pre-next gen era was Chase Elliott. That win, he finished second here in 21, second here in 2019, 7th, 9th, 3rd. A lot of good runs. He started to come here in the next gen car, 10th, 17th. Not really the Elliott we kind of came to know and love, right? Did lead 185, 54, 83 laps in those races, but not good. The last 3 races at Martinsville, though, he's figured it out once again. 3rd place here in April of last year, 2nd place here in the spring, 2nd place here last fall, rather. 4th place here in the spring, led 64, led 129, led 42 in those races. He's led laps. He's led at least 42 laps in every single next-gen race with the exception of the April 23 race where he didn't lead any laps. He's found his way to the front. He's been very good here, one of his best tracks. Slow starts the first 3-4 races here in the next-gen era, but once he kind of got back in the hang of it, he's really figured it out these last couple of times. And he's a guy that's proven to be clutch before. I think that he could get it done at plus 650. Again, very chalky picks. It's going to be one of these 8 drivers that I have a hard time seeing that it's not one of these 8 drivers. We took the Ryan Preece thing because I think he could put himself in position, but I think it's going to be one of these 8 drivers. Pick your poison. I mean, really, it's hard to argue against any of them. And Chase Briscoe is 19-1 on FanDuel, Rod. 19-1. He's 19-1. I'm not even going to give you any more reason to bet on him. Just keep betting on this guy. How do you not at this point? I don't know. Then to go to the bigger picture and to look at the championship odds for these guys. So I'm officially going to give out Chase Elliott 20-1 to win the championship. I think if you're going to bet him at plus 650, you have to bet him to win the championship race, because if he wins this, that means no Penske cars are going to be in that race. Suddenly it's now him against whoever it is, right? 3 JGR cars, which actually could be heavily in his favor as the only Chevy, the only Hendrick car, whatever it is. But he's a streaky guy. If he gets to victory lane this week, he'll have a very good shot to win next week. You won't get anywhere close to 20-1. So I think if you're going to bet on any of these guys under the cut line, you have a championship number now as well. And I think really, and again, like, you math it out, maybe you bet all of them. I don't know if that's really a thing, but if you look at the odds for these guys, so crazy. I know somebody was saying earlier, a new commenter, by the way, I don't think I'd seen them before, Cleveland kid. He had bet Bell to win the championship, extremely nervous about it. The books are not nervous. He's plus 250. He's the favorite to win the championship, and he's not even guaranteed a spot yet. There's 2 guys locked in. they have longer odds than he does. If he gets into the championship race without Ryan Blaney or Joey Logano, he's going to be the favorite next week in Phoenix, and you should be feeling pretty decent about your thing. And really, if one of those 4 guys doesn't win below the cut line, he's in. So I would still feel pretty decent about that. Obviously, at plus 250, I wouldn't bet that because now you're essentially parlaying him to win this. Well, I guess you're not, but I wouldn't bet him at plus 250. Denny's at plus 290. Larson's next at plus 370. Captain Shook. Briscoe's at plus 370. Hopefully you got the 20-1s early in the season when we told you to. Ryan Blaney, looks like Rowdy must have made it to FanDuel because he was 14-1 earlier. Now he's 10-1. That's one, you gave him out to win. If he wins at Martinsville, which he's done the last 2 fall races, he's going to be the heavy favorite going into Phoenix next week. So getting that 10-1 on him, essentially parlaying him to win this week and win the championship next week, not even win the race. Likely would have to win the race, but you don't have to necessarily. That's pretty tough to pass up. Elliott, I just made the case at 20-1. Joey Logano, it's the same thing, 20-1. But if he wins this week, he will be the favorite next week at Phoenix. The Penske cars, if they make it, will be the favorites. And William Byron, maybe being slept on a little bit, 30-1, almost out of principle. You might have to bet that just because if he does find a way to get it done here, and he's been good here before, he's won here before, he's capable of doing it. He could be good at Phoenix. I think that the Hendrick cars are going to be the least favorite of the 3 teams, right? I think if you're tiering them, Penske, Gibbs, Hendrick. But once you get to that race, any of those 4 guys can win the championship. I don't care which of the 8 it is that get there, or of these 8, I don't care which 4 it is. They could all win the championship. And at 30-1 for Byron, that's almost where, okay, you got to get a little nibble on that too, because if he does make it, if they find a way to get there, you can hedge, you can do whatever, but now you're holding a 30-1 on one of these guys. And if you've already got a Briscoe 20-1, now you got 2 of these guys at bigger numbers. Like, again, depending on what your portfolio looks like. But I would highly look at the championship numbers this week for different guys because might be a good way to get in on a big number this week.
Indeed. Yeah. And again, as the race finishes on this weekend, obviously those numbers are going to shorten up quite a bit because they're going to know who's in those final 4. So take your stab and figure out who you like.
You won't be getting any 10-1s. Everybody's going to be probably under 4-1 and maybe much shorter than that.
Indeed. All right. That does it for our betting card. Get out your pen and paper. Time to go over our bets for this Xfinity 500 from the Martinsville Speedway. Sorry, no graphic YouTubers. Again, it's been a busy day. So, Cody started you out with under 3.5 Fords inside of the top 10 at plus 110. I said Kyle Larson would finish better than Christopher Bell at minus 110. Cody is loading up the Briscoe shipment and giving you Briscoe top 5 at plus 225. Briscoe is the top Toyota at 6-1. Briscoe and Hamlin in the top 10 at plus 105. Briscoe to win Group B on Caesars at plus 210 over Barry, Bubba, and Ross. I'm giving you Bubba Wallace to finish inside of the top 10 at plus 150 over on Hard Rock, adding Todd Gilliland inside of the top 10 at 9-1 over on Hard Rock. Cody's giving you AJ Allmendinger top 10 at 8-1 over on 365 and Fanatics, and SVG 22-1 over on 365 and Fanatics to get inside of the top 10. I'm saying Chase Elliott is even money for a top 5 over on DK. Cody's giving you Ryan Preece as a top 10 car at 3-1 on DK, and the top Ford at 18-1, and to win the race at 80-1. I'm giving you that top 10 exacta. Ready for this one? Blaney, Larson, Hamlin, Elliott, Bell, Byron, Logano, Briscoe, Wallace, Todd Gilliland, plus 15557 over on ESPN. That is your DGens only play of the year by all rights and accounts. And then Cody's giving you Chase Elliott at plus 650, Chase Briscoe at 19-1 to win the race, and then Chase Elliott as the championship driver at 20-1. But of course, take your stab on whoever you want. I'm giving you Ryan Blaney, 4-1 on ESPN, the best number for him out there, and Denny Hamlin, 7-1 on Hard Rock to win this race. Fun stuff, Cody. Martinsville always entertains, and this is the do or die race for everybody out there on the cut line.
Yeah, after this week, we'll know the 4 drivers looking to etch their name in history, becoming a champion, becoming a repeat champion, whatever the case may be. Martinsville's tended to be one guy leads a lot of laps, and we'll see a good portion of that this week, but hopefully we get some of that tire wear And no matter what the race looks like, I think it's going to be pretty exciting watching how people are positioning themselves, watching that points battle between Larson and Bell in case it matters at the end of the day. Rod, do you have a quick who's your final four?
No, I do not, because I have not had time to think about it. But if I were to pick, I would say obviously Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin are in. I'm going to say Kyle Larson and Ryan Blaney. Those are your last two.
I think it's the four that are already above the cut line right now. I think that it's Hamlin and Briscoe obviously locked in. I think that Bell and Captain Shook get in. And I think that those are the four drivers racing for the championship next week.
I think Blaney wins the race, so that puts him in. And then I think that makes Larson the other one in there, right? Or is that Bell? Well, I'll say Kyle Larson finishes better than Bell.
There you go.
So, all right. Well, Cody,
I hope you would say that since you literally bet on it.
I that's what I'm saying. Like I had to put it that way because it's exactly the way I called it. So, yeah. All right. Well then, Cody, let's send everybody out to start filling out their card before all these odds go away for them, because I have a feeling they're not going to stay this well this long.
Yeah, some of them for sure. Follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. Tons and tons of stuff. As I mentioned, I pick every NFL game every week. A lot of us over at SGPN do. I was the top guy against the spread again this week. Second time in 7 weeks. A little pat on the back for me. But follow me for all that stuff. Have a lot of fun over there. And see you guys tomorrow. Trucks, Xfinity. Hopefully we'll have odds for both. And it's going to be a fun week. Best of luck. Enjoy Briscoeville. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. And you can find all the stuff that I do on there as well. All right, everybody, we'll see you tomorrow for Trucks and Xfinity and in Martinsville. So, all right, until then, let's go racing and let it ride.